Hello and welcome to day 2 of our 60 days Excel mastery challenge. We'll be talking about step-by-step guide to create a drop-down list in Excel. Drop-down list is a powerful data validation feature in Excel that helps control and standardize data entry. So we will be looking at 3 methods for the implementation of drop-down lists in Microsoft Excel. The first method will be to impute the values of your list separated by comma. So let's go ahead and do that. From our day 1 project, we had categories here, right? We want to enter a drop-down list so that we could easily just click to select instead of imputing, so that we can control what is entered right into the category column. To implement the drop-down list, we need to highlight the area or the range where we want the drop-down list to be implemented. So when you do that, you head on to data on your ribbon. You see data here. Then you go to your data tools, you see data validation. In some of your softwares or Microsoft Excel, you are just going to see this icon. So that is why I'm guiding that you look at data tools, then you click on data validation. We have the data validation settings here open for us. You see now under settings, you see allow. Right now, it's on any value. By default, it's set to any value so that Excel allows you to impute any value in the Excel spreadsheet. So we want to click this drop down to select list. Once we select a list, we have to provide a source. So the first method we are using will require that we impute our list here. So let's go ahead. We have food, right? Comma, rent, comma, utilities, comma, transport, comma, entertainment, comma, then healthcare. So when you impute after comma, you give a space so that you don't have them choked, okay? Once this is done, you now click OK. So you have basically implemented a list here. If you click on every cell, you see that there's a drop-down icon, right? Beside the cell. You click the drop-down, you are going to see the items you've entered in your list. So we can basically just select, right? We can just select, okay? The reason data validation is very important is because it guides data entry, right? And data management. So just imagine that somebody wants to go ahead and enter, just say house, for instance. You see that it will not allow it to enter. It said this value doesn't match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. So that is why data validation is important, okay? Because it blocks the entry of data that is not allowed or that is restricted. So that is the first method. For the second method, the steps are similar. The difference is that we will have to have our list somewhere in the same cell. It's recommended that if you have it on the same cell, you try to always hide where you have your list. Okay, we'll see how that is done. So to implement the drop down on category, we will highlight the area where we want to implement the drop down. We will then go to our data tab on our ribbon, head on to data tools and click on data validation. So we're basically following the same step except one. We'll say lists, then the source. You remember in the first method, we imputed the source manually. This time, the source is going to be the range, right? We'll just click, hold, and drag to cover the range. You see now it's a range somewhere in our Excel sheet. Then we go ahead and click OK. So we notice that you have also implemented similar drop-down on your sheet. So what you can do now to prevent somebody changing the item, because if you change this item on your list, say you change it to, say, let's say house. If you change it, that is exactly what is going to happen. You are going to have it updated. So to prevent somebody from changing what you have on your list or from deleting the list entirely, it is required that you hide your list if you have it on the same sheet, okay? To hide your list, you can highlight the column that you have your list. Then right-click on the column label to click on hide. You see, we no longer have H, we have JL. So that way, you are keeping your lists safe. So the third method is that our repository is domiciled in another sheet. So to implement the drop-down list again, we highlight the area where we want to implement the drop-down list. We head on to data, on the ribbon, to data tools, then click on data validation. Let's select lists. In the source now, we will have to go to where the sheet where we have our lists. So we will drag to highlight the list. You see it now, it has a sheet address. Then you click OK. You see it's been implemented, okay? You see our list has been implemented.